Welcome to a deep dive into, well, one of the most critical relationships in global geopolitics, the alliance between the United States and Japan.
Absolutely.
For decades, this partnership, it's been a cornerstone of stability, right?
Mm.
But our sources today suggest it's now facing what they're actually calling an era-defining reset.
Mm.
We've pulled together a stack of articles, research, expert insights, really trying to understand why this powerful bond is under such strain.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to unpack the complexities, pinpoint the surprising shifts in approach from both Washington and Tokyo, and, explore what these changes mean for the Asia-Pacific, for the global order. Okay,
Okay.
let's unpack this.
It's crucial, I think, to frame just how significant this moment really is.
Go on.
I mean, history certainly had its share of rough patches. You remember Richard Nixon courting China,
Oh,
or
yeah.
U.S. lawmakers literally smashing Toshiba radios back in the 80s,
Can't forget that.
or even the tensions during the 1990 Gulf War.
Yeah.
But what seems to be unfolding now signals something. Well, a much deeper, more fundamental fragility.
So not just a temporary blip.
Exactly.
Hmm.
The key here is this isn't just a bump in the road,
Oh, yeah.
according to the analysis we've seen.
And what a jarring shift it's been, right? Our sources highlight this stark difference between the warmth, maybe, of the U.S.-Japan relationship in President Trump's first term and the friction now.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen rhetoric go from "we love Japan" to a phrase like "Mr. Japan," kind of dismissive.
Yeah, very much so.
And this was just days before the U.S. was apparently due to impose large tariffs on, what, $150 billion of imported Japanese goods?
That's right, a huge amount.
So what changed so dramatically?
Well, this shift, as our sources explain it, it seems to reflect a core belief within the Trump administration that absolutely nothing is sacred
Okay.
and everything is transactional.
Right.
So this led to what turned out to be pretty unrealistic expectations, really, for both sides heading into the 2025 trade negotiations. Washington, for its part, initially saw Japan as kind of an easy partner, expecting quick momentum for other deals.
Okay.
While Japan, meanwhile, was apparently quite confident it would secure the same automotive tariff exemption it had received previously.
So both sides maybe misread the other.
Seems that way. Expectations didn't line up with the transactional reality setting in.
And here's where it gets really interesting, almost audacious. We found reporting that on July 7th, Trump posted his trade terms letter to Japan on social media.
Yes.
Before it even reached Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba.
That's correct. Quite extraordinary.
And what's more, that letter was largely identical, apparently, to those sent to leaders of 14 other countries.
Mm-hmm. Including some described in the sources as relatively peripheral ones, such as Kazakhstan, Laos, and Serbia.
Wow. So that showed basically no recognition of Japan's status as a key Pacific ally.
Pretty much. And PM Ishiba understandably called it deeply regrettable.
I can imagine.
And this isn't really a new stance for Trump, is it? It's a remarkably consistent doctrine that goes back decades.
Right. Our sources pointed that out, too.
As early as a 1987 interview with Larry King, he was expressing strong resentment over Japan ripping off America.
1987.
Yeah, citing impossible business challenges for his friends trying to operate there. He even argues back then that Americans were paying to defend the wealthy money machine of Tokyo.
So 4 decades on, these views seem, well, pretty much intact.
It appears so. He's pushed Japan to raise defense spending. He views Japan's, $68.5 billion trading goods surplus
Yeah.
as hard evidence of unfair trading practices,
Yeah.
and has openly described the country as spoiled.
It's almost like that narrative never really changed for him.
It seems pretty consistent, yeah.
Now, let's talk about the Abe factor, because during his first term, Trump's underlying view of Japan was, maybe surprisingly, persuaded to suspend,
Right.
largely because of his relationship with the late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe.
That personal connection was key.
Abe, a nationalist, a golfer, Japan's longest-serving prime minister, he managed over 30 one-on-one meetings and phone calls with Trump. That's a staggering number, isn't it?
It truly is.
Yeah.
And Abe, by all accounts, was incredibly astute. He judged exactly what a major world leader needed to be for Trump back then.
How did he do that?
Well, he provided Trump with sort of a comfort zone, made sure he felt heard, never publicly criticized him, and cultivated what our sources describe as a surprisingly genuine sense of friendship.
And that personal connection had real results.
It did, according to the research. Tangible benefits. Specifically, it helped avoid a Section 301 investigation.
Ah, the trade law.
Exactly, into Japanese unfair trade practices in cars and auto parts, which Trump had initially wanted to pursue.
So Abe's personal diplomacy really shielded Japan there for a time.
It seems so. It bought time, certainly.
However, the current situation with Prime Minister Ishiba, it's strikingly different.
Yeah, the dynamic has clearly changed.
Reports suggest Ishiba might have squandered Abe's legacy by insisting on a total tariff exemption. Apparently failing to appreciate that Trump is maybe less constrained than he was the first time around and laser focused on tariffs.
Right, the context shifted. And some insights we reviewed even suggest Trump might now feel he was actually outmaneuvered by Abe back then.
Interesting. Like he feels Abe got the better of him.
Possibly. That's one interpretation floating around. It adds another layer to the current tension.
So Abe's approach worked then, but maybe wasn't sustainable or didn't address the core issue in Trump's view.
That's a crucial point. It might have reinforced Trump's transactional view without fundamentally changing his long-held beliefs about trade with Japan.
And interestingly, the material we reviewed points to Germany's Chancellor Merz now being seen as maybe the Shinzo A of Trump's second term.
Yes, in terms of effectively managing that relationship today, it really highlights how critical that personal diplomacy still is.
And the challenges now, as our sources reveal, they run even deeper. We're seeing security, trade, and even currency issues getting tangled together.
Yes, a destabilizing conflation, as one source put it.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, U.S. Ambassador to Japan Rahm Emanuel argues pretty strongly that isolating China requires, quote, no daylight between the U.S. and Japan.
A united front is essential, in his view.
He suggests this whole era-defining reset becomes a kind of litmus test of what it means for anyone to be a friend of the U.S. in 2025.
That really raises the stakes, doesn't it? It's not just about trade anymore.
No, absolutely not. And this strategic conflation, it's really evident in the defense sphere, too.
Definitely.
One key point of tension we saw was when Elbridge Colby, former Undersecretary of Defense for Policy,
A key figure.
publicly told Congress Japan should spend more than its target of 2% of GDP on defense.
Which is already a sensitive topic in Japan.
Right. And then pensions escalated further when Colby privately pushed for an even higher 3.5% of GDP.
Yes, that number caused quite a stir. It led to Japan canceling a high-profile ministerial meeting.
Which is a rare display of frustration for Tokyo.
Very rare. It shows a level of concern.
And that raises another important question. What about the plan to move 4,000 U.S. Marines from Okinawa to Guam?
The basing issue. Always sensitive.
We found reporting that Colby apparently wants to halt this plan.
Right, even though moving them is part of a long-standing agreement and arguably makes strategic sense for some scenarios.
But Colby's argument, presumably, is about keeping assets closer to potential flashpoints like Taiwan.
That seems to be the rationale, yes.
Yeah.
Keeping them on Okinawa.
Mira Raphooper, a former White House Indo-Pacific official, she cautions that pushing to keep the Marines in Okinawa would be extremely fractious politically for Japan.
Absolutely. Especially since Prime Minister Ishiba himself ran on a platform of having more of a say on basing arrangements.
So it directly hits his political promises.
Exactly. And you couple that with the unresolved trade issues. Experts we looked at fear it could trigger a full-blown alliance crisis.
A perfect storm, almost.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
The timing is just difficult.
And the deepest source of angst, according to the research we've examined, is that this rift, this friction, is happening precisely when the U.S. and Japan arguably needed to be doing more, not less, to tackle the threat from Beijing.
That's the crucial context. Consider this. The last time the U.S.-Japan relationship faced a really serious crisis, China was, frankly, an impotent military power.
A very different world.
Totally different. Today, Beijing has undertaken this sweeping modernization of its military and become increasingly aggressive, particularly around Taiwan. The stakes are just far, far higher.
So while some experts like Michael Green, a leading scholar on this,
Well-respected voice.
agree it's the worst crisis in 25 years, they also stress it's not existential.
Right. There's still a foundation there. Polls show, 90% of the Japanese public still supports the alliance?
That's incredibly high.
It is, and
Right.
many in Tokyo apparently believe Trump is a tornado, not climate change.
That's a great analogy.
It suggests they see it as something disruptive but perhaps temporary, leading them to be exasperated but not panicking.
Managing the storm rather than facing a fundamental climate shift.
Exactly. That seems to be the working theory for some.
It is. However, this situation, it does force Japan to consider some uncomfortable possibilities, doesn't it?
Without a doubt, their plan A is crystal clear. The U.S. remains the cornerstone of our defense and security policy. That hasn't changed.
Yeah.
But this situation forces them to start thinking the unthinkable, as one source put it. Will the U.S. truly be there in Japan's or maybe Taiwan's hour of need?
That fundamental question of reliability.
Yes. That uncertainty raises the potential need for what they're calling Plan A minus or Plan B. The bedrock of trust is being tested, seriously tested.
So what does this all mean for you listening? This deep dive, I think it shows us that beyond the headlines, the U.S.-Japan era-defining reset isn't just about policy shifts.
No, it's deeper.
It feels like a fundamental reevaluation of what alliance even means when individual personalities and, frankly, transactional demands seem to consistently override long-standing strategic alignment. It really forces us to ask, is that bedrock of trust actually eroding, or is it just being redefined for a new, maybe more unpredictable global order?
And it really highlights the profound impact, doesn't it, of individual personalities on global affairs, and also the critical need for adaptability, for strategic communication in navigating what really is an era-defining reset.
Yeah.
It reminds us that even the strongest alliances, they aren't static. They evolve. They face challenges.
Which leaves us with the compelling thought, maybe, for you to consider. In this increasingly transactional, unpredictable global landscape where traditional alliances are clearly being tested, what diplomatic skills, what national strategies do you believe are most crucial for maintaining stability, for ensuring long-term security?
Especially.
Especially when your plan A might suddenly, unexpectedly need a plan B.